Truth isn't trendy, it's eternal, positioning Israel doctrine as timeless and unshakable. I don't follow the crowd, I follow the covenant. Separates the movement from popular culture. The streets talk, I correct them. Asserts authority and credibility in debates. Israel doctrine, where facts cut deeper than feelings. Appeals to logic over emotion. If it's not scripture, it's just opinion. Keeps focus on the Bible as the foundation. I'm not here to be liked, I'm here to be right. Bold, confident tone that builds respect. This isn't religion, this is restoration. Shifts the brand from dogma to revival of truth.
Peace, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Israel Doctrines Google Hangout. And today's Google Hangout title is DJ K. Slate in the Fraternal Order of Confidential Informants in Hip Hop. Now,
YouTube Streets, the real voices of the culture. Welcome to YouTube Streets, where real talk meets raw energy. This is a platform for truth tellers, street reporters, and cultural commentators who speak from the ground level, not the sidelines. Here, we break down what's really happening: the music, the movement, the mindset, and the message behind the headlines. No filters, no industry politics, just authentic street perspective, where voices from every block, city, and struggle come together to share what's real. Whether it's hip-hop, community issues, social commentary, or the stories the mainstream won't tell. YouTube Streets keeps it 100% truth over trend. This is the pulse of the people, the rhythm of resistance, and the sound of survival.
the sound of survival.
5K1 Series Episode 3, DJ K. Slay and the Fraternal Order of Confidential Informants in Hip Hop, the Kill All Rats Edition.
The Kill All Rats edition. If y'all didn't know, there's a thing that they started up in New York City, which is full of rats, literally. So let's get this thing started.
You have now entered the world of YouTube Streets knowledge. Welcome to the YouTube Streets Info Mob Channel 5K1 Series Episode 3 titled DJ K. Slay and the Fraternal Order of Confidential Informants in Hip Hop, the Kill All Rats Edition.
We're starting, people. But it seems like a lot of people are not informed of what's going on. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I do Murder Doctrine on 5K1 series. So hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button that you may be informed of what YouTube Street Info Mob is doing every Tuesday and Thursday. WAC 100 will be our next show.
Now that I have given you all a brief summary of what a 5K1 motion is, I now want to give my 5K1 series disclaimer. Disclaimer: Israel Doctrine Entertainment and the 5K1 series is not to bring slander or libel against any individual that is discussed in the series. The 5K1 series was not created to provide any false information to the viewers about who is discussed throughout the series. For further clarification, not every individual discussed in the series has been proven to have direct ties to federal or state prosecutions, but those that will be discussed have direct ties to individuals who have been involved as witnesses in federal and state prosecutions. The views expressed during these 5K1 episodes will be supported by documentation, video presentation, or statements made and redistributed under fair use. The statements and opinions expressed throughout the 5K1 series episodes will be in the form of questions from time to time. It is up to the viewers of this series to use your own critical thinking skills to determine the validity of the statements made. If you are someone who lacks critical thinking skills, the ultimate goal of this series is to have you be entertained enough to go to further research into the topics being discussed and spread the word. The 5K1 series was created as it relates to hip-hop culture in general, and if you are a supporter of hip-hop music, then you are sure to be entertained.
So, critical thinking. All don't have it, but those that do have it, I look to use it. Not exploit it, but use it to benefit the series. So I see we got a couple people in the room. Welcome. I appreciate your support, which a lot of people don't give this channel support nowadays, though we're the leading enterprise on YouTube.
This 5K1 series episode 3, as you all can probably guess by the title, features the now deceased New York City hip-hop icon, none other than Keith Grayson, his government name aka a DJ K-Slay of Street Sweepers Entertainment, former member of the Universal Zulu Nation, New York City Black Spade Street Gang, a 5%er of the Nation of Gods and Earths, DJ for New York's Hot 97 FM, Shady 45 satellite radio, founder of hip-hop's Straight Stuntin' magazine, and an avid supporter of the street organization Kill All Rats. The questions I want to pose to you all are as follows. How many of you know that around 2007 or 2008 DJ K-Slay hired a nationally known federal witness and former confidential informant by the name of Khalil Amani to write for his Straight Stuntin' magazine? Do you all know that DJ K-Slay would later snitch to the nationally known federal informant Khalil Amani to have him write an article about the godfather of hip-hop Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmet Henderson of the Universal Zulu Nation getting stabbed by a teenage boy who DJ K-Slay informed was date raped by Afrika Bambaataa in a New York City apartment in the area of New Rochelle on April 1st, 2013? How many of you all know that the nationally known federal informant and witness that DJ K-Slay snitched on Afrika Bambaataa was told by DJ K-Slay to publish an article on April 2nd, 2013, titled, Afrika Bambaataa, Gay, and Date Raping? Why would DJ K-Slay, who claimed to be a member of the street organization Kill All Rats, actually hire a known federal witness to write for his magazine? Why would DJ K-Slay trust this known informant with intimate details of his life, even as far as telling him why him and Jay-Z fell out over the now infamous stabbing of hip-hop CEO Lance Rivera? How many of you all know that DJ K-Slay, who is also an avid pro-heterosexual advocate with his Straight Stuntin' magazine in the public, was living what some would see as a double life, working with the LGBTQ community and now the LGBTQIA+ to bring them in the fold of mainstream hip-hop? Do you all know that DJ K-Slay agreed to have a cast of gay rap artists appear on his Shady 45 radio show to assist his gay advocate hip-hop writer and known informant Khalil Amani in influencing the culture to include the LGBTQ and also to sneak the actual people who sleep with underage teens into the culture? Now, if that seems like a stretch, then let me ask you all some more questions. Do you all know that the nationally known federal informant Khalil Amani, as the writer for DJ K-Slay's Straight Stuntin' magazine, alleged during an interview around 2018 on the Ed Opperman report that DJ K-Slay told him that as a teenager he was used by the Universal Zulu Nation with other teenage boys to lure in teenage boys for Afrika Bambaataa to have sexual relations within the Zulu Nation around the late 1980s? Do you all know that DJ K-Slay told a nationally known career informant who he hired to write for his magazine that Afrika Bambaataa was a sexual predator on teenage boys about 6 or 7 years prior to having him write the article in 2013 titled, Afrika Bambaataa, Gay, and Date Raping? How many of you all know that hip-hop has been infiltrated by state and federal law enforcement agencies due to criminal activity in hip-hop? Do you all know that akin to law enforcement programs, the hip-hop police in the year 2025 is a modern counterintelligence operation online, or as I call it in these YouTube streets? Do you all know that known hip-hop informants like Tekashi 69 and confidential informants or confidential human sources and career informants are working online in hip-hop with various for-profit, non-for-profit, not-for-profit, non-governmental organizations and other international charitable organizations running major rackets in the entertainment business? State and federal law enforcement offline and online from New York City to California and from the United States and abroad have been fraternizing to rape us all morally, spiritually, and financially. This 5K1 episode 3 involves DJ K-Slay and others, some known informants and some others who may be confidential, who whistle blew on Afrika Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu Nation, claiming child and adult sex trafficking, murders, conspiracy to commit murders, bribery, extortion, racketeering, breaches of the Associated Press, outrageous government acts, and corruption. These events that I am discussing here is
Woo! It's reading so much it's starting to fry people. Whoa! Boy, it's hot. Ow! Boy, it's getting hot in here.
interwoven into hip-hop culture, and how criminal reform has been turned upside down and become criminal promotions, and with hip-hop being something that we all have either been a part of or witnessed unfold in society, it is important that we get informed and then make the information active in the community and in these YouTube streets.
Yes, cause hip-hop uncensored was censored dealing with me. I don't know how they allowed that to happen, but as you heard, these YouTube streets and these channels that I'm over, you can't do that with us. We'll see you in court. We don't have no written agreement to do that, not to do that, none of that. We don't play that over here. After I'd have been censored, we're not going to let anyone censor anybody over here.
With the recent 50th anniversary of hip-hop, we now are looking at hip-hop morph online into a multi-billion-dollar industry of content creators on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms. More than ever after the global pandemic in 2020, hip-hop artists have now all become podcasters. We are watching these new age social media influencers with people like Hassan Poppy Campbell leveling up with artists like Tony Yayo of G-Unit sit on DJ Vlad TV and name drop him as people see his online fame for making viral content as the popular wave to follow. The problem with all of this is when people worship the personality of these hip-hop celebrities and social media influencers, not knowing that what they are being subjected to as the viewing audience is nothing short of counterintelligence operation controlled by major corporations like Google and mainstream media, and then filtered into a systematic underbelly of content creators online to control public opinions using fake news or totally false narratives.
See, that's what's going on. That's why I said we won't be censored over here. Fake news and total false narratives is something we ain't never dealt with. When we went got Khalil money, who's the government informant, didn't know it until he came on my show, said, yes, I wrote the first article. Yes, I did this. Yes, I did that. And by the way, I'm a government informant. Didn't like it then, don't like it now. And I see why I didn't like it. Because he ain't been nothing but a liar ever since he got on here. I interviewed him. His lie about how he met K-Slay is very questionable now. But hey, we're going to keep on with the content.
People who watch online content have short-term memory spans. They tend to forget that Hassan Campbell got his notoriety coming out as a victim of childhood rape in 2016 against the godfather of hip-hop, Afrika Bambaataa. What is even more disturbing is that people have also forgotten or missed entirely due to cover-ups that Hassan Campbell later would allege that while at the age of 36 he was given the task of killing what was alleged to be a minor who was raped by Afrika Bambaataa. Now some people may take the claims I am making here as over-sensationalized or just another hip-hop rumor blog, but I want you all to know that Hassan Campbell was alleged to have been shot while making a YouTube video in Bronx River housing projects in New York City. With the recent racketeering cases that have sprung up in hip-hop since Hassan Campbell came out against Afrika Bambaataa in 2016, one would have to take a look at the events that are all related taking place in the algorithms online. If this was all just for entertainment as it relates to what I am saying, then the saying goes, no harm, no foul, yet instead what is occurring is actual potential murders and cover-ups of conspiracies to murder, which is real crimes and having real victims. Even if the victims are only the people who patronize as a grifter or a scammer online, these events all have major ramifications to the general public. I will be breaking down thoroughly here in the 5K1 series episode 3 how DJ K-Slay informed Khalil Amani, a known federal informant on Afrika Bambaataa, being a child sex trafficker or a statutory rapist of minors back around 2008 and later in 2013. I will also be discussing how Khalil Amani, the nationally known federal informant who assisted in the prosecution of Miami-based religious cult leader Yahya Ben Yahya, became a writer for hire by DJ K-Slay Straight Stunt in magazine. I will be discussing how I have been cyberstalked online since 2020 by Khalil Amani to keep all of this information from getting to you all. I will be discussing how I had to file a complaint with the United States Marshal Internal Affairs about Khalil Amani and his claims about DJ K-Slay, the teen boy they said stabbed Afrika Bambaataa, and his manager Ahmed Henderson, and Hassan Campbell to be investigated. I will discuss this episode on how I have been false copyright flagged online by Troy Star Torrain of the Snitch Network to protect Hassan Campbell. I would like to add that I challenged Khalil Amani to address this 5K1 series as he has tried to fool you all like he does not know what 5K1 is as a federal witness who also is a career informant who helped with sting operations for the Federal Bureau of Investigation after taking down Yahya Ben Yahya. I do not want to misquote Khalil Amani's response to my challenge, so I am going to read what he posted. Khalil Amani post reads, I finally looked up 5K1 and laughed my ass off. Face rolling on the floor laughing. Struggle Doctrine has clearly been spending too much time on YouTube watching WAC 100, Adam 22, 10 Toes Down, Brian Glaze Gibbs, Hassan Campbell, and the rest of the prison to population YouTubers that talk about prison life and making deals through cooperation with the law. Sorry, buddy. Disappointed face. I never signed such a document because I was never arrested and or convicted of a crime. That's all you get. Grinning face with squinting eyes.
That's all I get. He won't address the 5K1 nor the murder doctrine because it's talking about real things that he has said you'll never get an answer for. I'm never answering that. I'm not even talking about it. In his hearts of hearts, me reading his mind, he's saying, yeah, I'm a bitch and I ain't finna fuck with that shit. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Bitch niggas not finna fuck with no real shit. It'll kill them every time. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to you all. And number 3 people watching. I know y'all afraid to speak though. It's all good. It's all good.
The question is, why would Khalil Amani post these names to respond to my challenge? Why would Khalil Amani post the names of WAC 100, Adam 22, 10 Toes Down, Brian Glaze Gibbs, Hassan Campbell? Is Khalil Amani telling the world on his community wall on YouTube that because he personally has ties to the United States Marshals that WAC 100, Adam 22, 10 Toes Down, Brian Glaze Gibbs, and Hassan Campbell are all state and federal informants? Now 10 Toes Down is the cousin of Frank Gehry of Sonnetter TV, and I did see that he was going to interview Khalil Amani on his YouTube channel and then stood him up. Maybe Khalil Amani is upset that 10 Toes Down decided not to speak to him, and that's why Khalil is putting his name in an answer to my 5K1 response challenge. Either way, 10 Toes Down is going to be another 5K1 series episode, as he was brought online for the first time threatening me and claiming I was causing a beef between Sonnetter TV and Hassan Campbell, who is supposed to be his cousin by marriage. I would not be surprised if the names Khalil Amani posted are all federal informants, because Khalil Amani has been telling on people to the federal government since the 1980s as a career informant, which is in some of his writing that he was disguised as an imam for the Federal Bureau of Investigation after taking down Yahya Ben Yahya. Khalil Amani was recently bragging on his videos about getting calls from the United States Marshals about updates to his passport, so I would imagine that he would have the intelligence to know who the informants are in these YouTube streets. I am just saying you all can decide for yourself if you think that Khalil Amani would know if WAC 100, Adam 22, 10 Toes Down, Brian Glaze Gibbs, and Hassan Campbell are all federal informants. Another thing I want to address that Khalil Amani has been doing is repeatedly referencing that former President Bill Clinton is a member of his Greek fraternity that he is affiliated with, and hence the title of this episode highlights the word fraternity. Khalil Amani should go speak on behalf of Bill Clinton to the House Committee on the Epstein Files. With the recent vote to release the files of the convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, I think what we are about to witness into the new year and throughput the year 2026 is going to make a lot of people's heads spin as it relates to the public being made aware of a plot to legalize and normalize adults having sex with underage minors. Not only was DJ K-Slay and Khalil Amani attempting to place Afrika Bambaataa in the LGBTQ when the allegations was that he was not just gay-liking grown men but instead was involved with sleeping with underage boys, and hence why Khalil Amani had no problem with being in the documentary Trapped in a Culture, but yet having star Troy Torain and Layla Wills, who made the documentary, allege sex trafficking of minors but then changed the name of the film to The First Gay Family of Hip Hop. This is where I believe that charitable organizations and the Associated Press and the Democratic Party was using these stories to normalize pedophilia and pederasty. With the state of California introducing Senate Bill 145 in 2020, we have been witnessing a very layered operation that extends from coast to coast in the United States to try to have us all agree in the public that it is okay for adults to sleep with minors or underage teens and avoid being charged with statutory rape. I know that may sound crazy to some, but one has to follow the laws to know what laws are being incrementally changes, and my research found that on September 9, 2020, the Los Angeles Times reports, Sacramento, discrimination against LGBTQ people in sex crime convictions will be outlawed under a new law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom late Friday evening. The measure, Senate Bill 145, will amend existing state law that allows judges to decide whether an adult convicted of having vaginal sexual intercourse with a minor should register as a sex offender in cases in which the minor is 14 years or older and the adult is not more than 10 years older than the minor. Currently, adults who are convicted of having oral or anal sex with a minor under those circumstances are automatically added to the state's sex offender registry. SB 145 will eliminate automatic sex offender registration in those cases and give judges discretion to make that decision. Now right there we can see a law that can incentivize judges through bribery to determine certain people to not be placed on the sex offender registry, and it was used in line with the LGBTQ now fact.
So as you can see, if you pay attention, critical thinking, and if not critical thinking, go do your own research and see if what I'm saying is true. See if what I'm saying is true. These people was changing laws and doing stuff. Look at the time frame of what's going on and how it lines up with what was going on YouTube with Ron Savage, Hassan Campbell, and all these people. Timelines and stuff. They don't lie.
Fast forward to the year 2025 and we see clearly that the LGBTQ was added A and then plus for all forms of sexual immorality, which could include incest and even bestiality, and even worse, the plus can be interfaced for pedophilia and pederasty. None of what I am discussing is a fringe conspiracy, as we now have votes to release the Jeffrey Epstein files, and many have alleged that top celebrities, politicians, and corporate executives have been part of a global sex trafficking and child rape cult that is used to control people through blackmail and extortion. DJ K.
Now, as you can see, when we used to go in and say Khalil Amani was doing something to his step grandson, He's a part of the ritual cult world to do these things.
Slay, no doubt, with Khalil Amani, was involved with reporting on what was later alleged to be a global sex trafficking ring of minors in the Zulu nation, with allegations against Africa Bambaataa ranging from the United States, Brazil, the United Kingdom, and France.
Y'all see this? Bambaataa has been doing this thing across the globe. And you think them people that's been holding him down ain't came for my life? They want to come for my life? But I'm one that's not afraid to die. I died back in 2002 whenever I got baptized.
There are still a few more questions that I must ask here before we really get this going to the depths of the wickedness that surrounds the star of this episode. So that no stone is left unturned in this episode, we intend to get to the truth about the legacies of these hip-hop legends and icons. How many of you all note that my wrongfully terminated channel on YouTube under the name Israel Doctrine Reloaded was false flagged by DJ K-Slay right before he died in 2022? How many of you know that Khalil Amani was trying to have DJ K-Slay be his send-off, or what I call a do-boy, to have him place a strategic lawsuit against me for my public participation in the Africa Bambaataa child sex trafficking allegations? How many of you all know that Hassan Poppy Campbell once attacked DJ K-Slay for having Khalil Amani, who is known nationally as a federal witness working for his magazine? Do you all know that Hassan Poppy Campbell would later allege that DJ K-Slay was also a confidential informant, following what he claimed was DJ K-Slay being arrested for music piracy around the time of the raids on DJ Drama? Hassan Campbell would even claim that to cover up DJ K-Slay being an informant, a man was murdered, and he would allege that DJ K-Slay may have been directly involved. Do you all know that California hip-hop manager Wack 100 was the West Coast arm of Straight Stuntin magazine? With all of the debauchery of Wack 100 from allegations of extortion of the deceased rapper Nipsey Hussle's estate and the recent arrest of Rolling 60s Crips gang leader Big U and Loose Cannon, the snitch culture is being monetized on YouTube and the YouTube streets and Clubhouse and Instagram. With the recent allegations of an organized hit on rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine, we keep seeing over and over the same players with the same government ties and informants all interlocking and using real crimes and made-up propaganda to create revenue streams and to cover up real racketeering operations using misinformation and disinformation. If you want the answers to some of these questions, then stay tuned, because this 5K1 episode is going to take a deep dive that is sure to turn the YouTube streets upside down.
I'd like to play something right quick. Let me get it up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna turn this on. So I won't have any problems. I'm gonna pull it up now.
Cameron recalls when Jay-Z almost put hands on DJ K-Slay for spinning Nas's diss record in the studio.
When I came to Rockefeller, I was at the point where I'm like almost a slave. Like, can I hold the door for you? Yo, that nigga was in the store. I had K-Slay in the studio. Jay was like, yo, be careful who you bringing in here, because what if I would have slapped the shit out the nigga? And I'm like, I didn't know, but I knew K-Slay had the drama hour. He's playing all the diss records, but it wasn't like he would play Nas records and not play Jay records. But I guess Jay was like, if you play Nas records, don't play my shit. Yeah, whatever. I didn't know that. I just didn't know Jay's personality.
Y'all think Jay-Z really about that life?
Now, as y'all can see, Cameron, who's a podcaster, who has his own controversies and stuff, was speaking on Jay-Z and K-Slay. A lot of people don't know that Jay-Z and K-Slay had issues. K-Slay running with an informant, Jay-Z about to do business with an informant. Right? Y'all will see where it all goes as we keep going through the series. I know it's like, oh, that shit was, why did he play that? Don't worry. You'll see in here in the future. As I like to say, it get greater later. It gets greater later.
Many of you who have watched Israel Doctrine Entertainment LLC platforms on YouTube over the years may know, this platform started a movement in 2017 using what I termed as info-activism to find the whereabouts of what was reported to be a young Spanish or Latino teenage boy that stabbed Africa Bambataha and his manager Ahmed Henderson of the Universal Zulu Nation in a New York apartment in 2013. I first was made knowledgeable about the stabbing incident listening to an interview done with Hassan Campbell on the YouTube content creator Queen's Flip episode number 29. The allegations of the stabbing of Afrika Bambataha and Ahmed Henderson was made after what I later found was an article or report of a statutory sexual assault of a young Hispanic or Latino boy by Afrika Bambataha published on April 2, 2013. Titled Afrika Bambataha, Gay, and Date Raping, by writer-journalist Khalil Amani. I would interview with Hassan Campbell and Khalil Amani on my YouTube channel in 2017, and I would later piece together that Khalil Amani was informed of the stabbing of Afrika Bambataha and his manager Ahmed Henderson following the alleged statutory sexual assault of the teenage boy by the now deceased DJ K-Slay, as Khalil Amani was a writer for DJ K-Slay's Straight Stunt In magazine in the year.
See, I found this out. Me being in the public, a public guy, put it in the public when it should have been in the private, it would have saved me more trouble.
Year 2013, DJ K-Slay, who was a former member of the New York City Black Spade Street Gang, as well as a former member of Universal Zulu Nation at the time of 2013, was an insider who was alerted to the incident shortly after it was said to have occurred on the night of April 1, 2013. DJ K-Slay would then decide to inform his writer Khalil Amani by calling him on the phone from New York to Colorado to publish an article at his behest titled, Afrika Bambataha Gay and Date Raping? The article, which was published the day after the incident, would go viral and have the Universal Zulu Nation do a press release claiming the allegations were only rumors and that Afrika Bambataha was in the hospital for a heart attack scare or chest pains and not associated with stab wounds.
You see that? The Associated Press is what they breach. Because Dave Wedge wrote in his article before the Zulu Nation, Troy Star Terrain and Layla Wills and all these people got to arguing and fighting and stuff. Probably pretty much before Ron Savage even came out on Stars. They was already on it because Khalil Amani article caused so much problems in the street that they had to address it. And that's when the association was breached. Yes, people, I'm an investigative reporter, and they didn't have me investigate a lot of things, a lot of shit. Boy, I be looking at so much stuff on this internet, in these YouTube streets. That's how I caught that Cameron thing, where he was saying Jay-Z was like, I smacked the shit out that bitch ass nigga K-Slay. Watch you bring in this room, nigga. And them my words, not Cameron's words, vice versa.
I would also be told by Khalil Amani after interviewing him that after publishing the article, DJ K-Slay informed him to take the article down. The reason given to take the article out of circulation was Universal Zulu Nation maintains chapters of the organization in the state of Colorado and was threatening to do bodily harm to Khalil Amani. Khalil Amani would then oblige at first and take down the article, but after realizing that other publications had picked up on the story, he would republish it and let the allegations remain in the public. After the allegations of the sex trafficking of a minor and the stabbing incident was dismissed by Universal Zulu Nation as rumors, following the article other victims would begin to emerge against Afrika Bambaataa, as many of you now may be aware of Ronald B. Stinger, Savage and Hassan, Poppy Campbell, who alleged similar sexual misconduct against Afrika Bambaataa in 2016. Ronald B. Stinger, Savage and Hassan, Poppy Campbell, both following coming out against Afrika Bambaataa, spoke of being aware of the stabbing of him and his manager Ahmed Henderson in an article of Canada-based Noisy Vice magazine and published by journalist Dave Wedge. The Dave Wedge article also featured Khalil Amani, and the three would all give accounts to substantiate that Afrika Bambaataa, no matter what reports said in 2013, did in fact get stabbed. I want to take a brief intermission to address my online cyber stalker Khalil Amani. Now recently I sent Khalil Amani a cease and desist letter demanding that he stop making videos claiming that I am a Hebrew Israelite. For those of you who may not know, the term Hebrew and Israelite is a term that is not biblical as a compound word, and I for many years have expressed this online. I have for many years spoken of my belief in the Bible terming the people of God as Israel, and not with any byword or misnomer added to it, but to make me angry. Khalil Amani has insisted on making videos while stalking my platform and calling me a Hebrew Israelite. Khalil Amani also recently made a video about Hassan Campbell alleging that the term YouTube streets, which is a term my platform popularized, belonged to Hassan Campbell. Khalil Amani was going on about how proud of Hassan Campbell he is and how he made peace with him. Who makes peace with someone who has done what Hassan Campbell has done to people online? Hassan Campbell threatened to rape children and said he took the photo to kill a victim. Hassan Campbell was just allegedly shot in a housing project for attacking and terrorizing its residents for YouTube clicks, and Khalil Amani was just praising Hassan Campbell like he was the best thing since Yahya Ben Yahya. Khalil Amani was just speaking on Hassan Campbell because Tony Ayo of G-Unit was shouting Hassan Campbell out. I speak of this because when I first interviewed Khalil Amani about his article he wrote for DJ K-Slay about Afrika Bambaataa, he informed me and my audience that 50 Cent once did him a favor involving his daughter, who was an exotic dancer. I want Khalil Amani to know that since he called himself having what he calls beef with me, that he may think that I am not capable of dealing with him from a legal standpoint. Khalil Amani thinks he has friends who are probably attorneys and some judges, and that since he is the custody of the United States Marshals that I have no legal remedy for his criminal acts against me. Khalil Amani thinks somehow he is totally immune from following the laws of these United States of America or any laws but that of his fraternity. I want Khalil Amani to get this very clear, as he has stalked my every word online for going on 6 full years and thinks that he is somehow going to win this overall war over the truth about Hassan Campbell, DJ K-Slay, and his involvement with the covering up for Afrika Bambaataa. He has another thing coming. Khalil Amani should take notice with his organization, from Layla Wills of Hip Hop Stands with Survivors to Marcy Hamilton of Child USA, Troy Star Torain of the Snitch Network, the United States Marshals, or the Greek fraternities and sororities that he affiliates with. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop it. Khalil Amani recently came into my chat room as I was doing a stream after I sent him the cease and desist, and I engaged some questions he had for me, as I never run from anyone who confronts me head on, but at the same time, he thinks that he is countering my intelligence by thinking that I will be dealing with him without counsel for his slander and libel. To get you all up to speed on this intermission, Khalil Amani recently made a comment towards me that
Woo! Calm down, computer. I know you reading a lot. You're on fire. Woo! My bad, y'all. I ain't realize how much this shit is.
I looked up to see where he got it from and found that it was a statement made by Abraham Lincoln that goes, "A man who represents himself has a fool for a client."
A man who represents himself has a fool for a client. He didn't say that about Layla Wills, though. She represented herself. and she lost her case. Was she not a fool? Fucking with somebody that's not a fool? Just because I say I can't read, I can't write it. I didn't come out here and bragging to America that I was the best at nothing. I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody. I'm just a servant of God. That's the only thing I claim to be, the only thing I brag about. Never bragged about nothing else in life because I ain't never had shit in life.
Without going too deep off topic, I let Khalil Imani know that his team, as in journalist Layla Wills, filed a strategic lawsuit against public participation against me in the Cook County Court in the city of Chicago, Illinois, and she represented herself without an attorney. I guess that was part of the strategy to come against me wrongfully, and it failed when false criminal charges she put on me claiming I was aggravating the court order with guns threatening her online got dropped by the district attorney. I am saying this to let Khalil Imani know that I got the legal aid for my criminal case and then had the legal aid get the false charges against me dropped by City of Chicago. The one who was representing herself had to drop the false civil charges because she had breached the City of Chicago false ordinance laws. The last intermission statement for Khalil Imani is simply this. Do you think it is a coincidence that I filed a criminal complaint with various state and federal agencies, and that I made one complaint with the United States Marshal Internal Affairs? Now why would I go to Internal Affairs, you all may ask? What I am hinting at is my response to Khalil Imani and his team's strategic lawsuit against me was also strategic in that I filed a criminal complaint with certain agencies for a reason. Some agencies I am not mentioning here and never have for a reason, in order that the ongoing conspiracy to cover up the crimes of Hassan Campbell and to control the narrative of DJ Slay and Afrika Bambaataa is like murder because of the statutes of fraud, in simple meaning the conspiracy to cover up by the actors and the conspiracy ends when the last act to cover up the conspiracy ends. Since Khalil Imani has been continuing to stalk me and since Hassan Campbell has now been online for almost 10 years terrorizing people with the last act continuing to this very day, that means that every day it continues to be done strategically, it can be activated strategically. I hope everyone listening to this learns from what I am putting down here because Khalil Imani has no clue what he has been strategically placed inside of for his strategically joining people who tried to have me murdered in a prison on false charges. I want Khalil Imani and all who watch this episode to bear witness so that when all of what is coming aligns in the very near future for Hassan Campbell, Khalil Imani and all tied to the Afrika Bambaataa child and adult sex trafficking rackets and the cover-ups, you all will know I am the king in these YouTube streets.
King. The king, boy, I'm so proud to call myself that. See, I've never had the ability to call myself that because I've never had none of these shit to be proud of. But I came in these YouTube streets being Israel Doctrine. 2009, I came in these streets, Israel Doctrine with my company, and I've been ruling these streets ever since. Taking anyone that wanted head on, not running from nothing to nobody. Because there ain't no fear in my heart. Who do I have to fear? The Lord God of Israel. And I believe he is proud of what I'm doing.
Now I want to dissect some allegations made not too far back by Hassan Campbell alleging that DJ Slay turned federal informant as a result of being arrested for piracy during the mixtape raids on another legendary hip-hop DJ known as DJ Drama.
Piracy. That's what all the false flagging that Troy Star Terrain, Layla Wills, DJ Slay, Khalil Imani, all these people, piracy. They say I'm out here pirating YouTube shit. I'm not. I have legal right to do what I do. It's called copyright. This, that, and the other. Matter of fact, I'll show it on the screen. So, copyright disclaimer under statute 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And I do 99.9 of everything up there. So what are we talking about?
The October 29th, 2020 NPR Music article reads, "The raid that changed rap DJ Drama's mixtapes changed the sound of rap. Then, the cops came knocking. 13 years ago, at the height of his fame as a mixtape king, he had everything taken away. After a raid by federal agents on his studio, Drama wound up targeted, arrested, and jailed. A martyr for mixtape culture. The mixtape model had its risks, but it also had its rewards. Drama didn't have to license any of the music or pay artists, and it cost him around 50 cents to print a CD that he'd sell for $5.10. He says there were months where he was selling 50,000 to 75,000 mixtapes a month. He'd gone from making $100 a week in his college mixtape hustle days to $50,000, $60,000 a month. He remembers watching as his bank account grew into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, more money than he'd ever seen. On January 16, 2007, DJ Drama, DJ Cannon and the affiliates were camped out at the studio to plot their next move. Gangsta Grills, the album, Drama's major label debut. Drama stepped outside to move his car when he realized they weren't alone. "I walked out the door," he says, "and then that was when it was just like SWAT and helicopters and, here come the SUV and they just, pull from all corners." Drama played it cool because he knew that whatever it was, he wasn't the target. But things escalated. Officers pulled up and jumped out with M16s drawn, pointed at Drama. They called him by his government name, Tyree Simmons, and told him to get on the ground. They took his ID. Drama says he heard the officers get on their radios, saying, "We got one of the perps." "So I start, in my mind, freaking out," he says. "Like, huh? Like, who? Y'all got one of them wait, it's gotta be a mistake." Then, all hell broke loose. Police stormed the offices, waving guns and telling everyone to get face down on the ground. It was a full-on raid. Drama says they were looking through the building for guns and drugs, which they didn't find. What they did find was tens of thousands of mixtape CDs, which they confiscated along with studio equipment, computers, 4 cars, bank statements and even the hard drives containing songs recorded for Drama's new studio album. Then, they took Drama and Cannon. They told Drama he was being arrested for bootlegging and racketeering under RICO laws, the kind of serious conspiracy charges used to take down dangerous crime outfits, like the mob. Drama didn't even know what RICO stood for at the time. Police rounded up everybody and took Drama and Cannon separately to Rice Street, where they were booked into the Fulton County Jail. The next morning, Drama woke up in a jail cell for the first time in his life. He and Cannon were able to make bail for $100,000 apiece. That's when they found out how serious the RICO charges they'd been slapped with really were. On the phone, T.I. explained something Drama didn't know. The feds can confiscate all your funds in a RICO investigation. T.I. told Drama to take his money out of his account, but when Drama looked up his bank records online, he froze. A bank account, consisting of several $100,000, reduced to nothing. In that moment, Drama says, he broke down and cried. When Drama found out his arrest was made in conjunction with the RIAA, the same trade organization whose seal appears on the gold and platinum plaques hanging in his offices, it felt deeper than a personal betrayal. It was a betrayal of hip-hop. Drama and Cannon were charged with a Georgia state law that made it illegal to sell CDs without putting your name and address on them. Essentially, it was a way for the state to enforce federal copyright law, and they added a RICO charge because they were mass distributing the CDs.
Now, y'all see, he got a phone call from one of his buddies who had problems with these people already. He said, "Man, they can freeze your whole access for is your money and stuff and everything, your bank accounts and stuff. Get your money out the bank. But who would have known? The money was already taken care of. And then, woo, deep, y'all.
The charges were dead docketed, meaning drama and canon wouldn't be prosecuted, but the
dead docketed. Remember I was talking about that a couple videos back? They kill your case until you act up and don't do what they say. Then they revive the case. Now, how long have they been doing this? Since the 80s? Were people like, I was never arrested, I was never this and that. Was you dead, doctor? Oh, but you think I had enough sense to find out? How you think I found out about the slap? The strategic lawsuit against public participation? Because I'm not dumb. And I know people. And I got a team and everything else. I'm not out here by myself. Just because y'all don't see and hear my team don't mean I ain't teamed up.
charges could be reinstated at any time. Drama says the DJs never got their money back. According to him, law enforcement claimed they couldn't prove what was earned from legitimate mixtapes and what was from illegal bootlegs, so they kept it all.
Kept it all. When the government played that, they played for keeps, boy. When the government play, they play for keeps. And y'all out here playing with this government, and this government saying, we're going to play for keeps on y'all. Wait till the politics get right. And they getting right, baby.
Now what would make Hassan Campbell allege that DJ K-Slay, who was also a well-known mixtape DJ at the time of the raids on DJ Drama, claimed that K-Slay was also charged with a similar crime? Was DJ K-Slay charged on a dead docket case in order for him to become an informant to avoid further prosecution? Here is another definition for a dead docket. In Georgia, a dead docket means a criminal case is put on an inactive list by a prosecutor or judge and is suspended indefinitely, though it can be reopened at any time within the statute of limitations. How many other states have similar terms that align with the dead docket? Can a prosecutor of the government use the dead docket to compel a person to become an informant or face prosecution at a later date? Was any of the things done in the Afrika Bambaataa allegations dead docketed in the criminal court system? These are questions that I want everyone to ponder as they do their own research into the things being discussed throughout this episode. It was never confirmed if DJ K-Slay was arrested at or around the time of 2007, but I must add that Khalil Amani, the nationally known federal informant who would be the writer for DJ K.
People, I got to step away for a second. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue. The writer for DJ K-Slay.
Slay Straight Stuntin claims he met DJ K-Slay via MySpace around the year 2007 or 2008. I am not saying that what Hassan Campbell alleged about DJ K-Slay was true, but what I can say is that he began to fraternize with a nationally known federal informant in Khalil Amani somewhere around or right after the year 2007.
You heard that? Do your research. Timelines. Watch the timelines. because you couldn't watch it when it was going down. You know why? Because you didn't know it was going down. But now that it went down in 2025 this year, woo, deep ain't it? Dead docket. Do your research on it. Do your research.
As I asked in the introduction of this episode, why would DJ K-Slay, known as a highly respected street DJ who claims to be a member of a street organization that goes by the name Kill All Rats, hire a nationally known federal informant to write for his hip-hop magazine? Why would DJ K-Slay then tell Khalil Amani intricate secrets about his childhood as a member of the Universal Zulu Nation and go so far as trust Khalil Amani enough to inform him that Afrika Bambaataa sleeps with underage teenage boys? Why would DJ K-Slay then, after telling Khalil Amani that Afrika Bambaataa was into pederasty or sex with minor boys, call all the way from New York to Colorado more than 7 years later to tell him that Afrika Bambaataa and Ahmed Henderson was stabbed by a teen victim of statutory rape in the New Rochelle apartment in New York State on April 1st, 2013? Regardless of what opinions the viewers of this 5K1 episode forms, I want to make it clear that my opinion is that DJ K-Slay was operating within a counterintelligence operation as it related to the magazine Straight Stunt and as it relates to street organization Kill All Rats.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Take your notes. You want to go to court on it? Let's go to court. We're going to break out some paperwork that we can't see because we're in court. We're going to break it out and we're going to find out some things.
Another interesting point to make here is that Khalil Amani would speak of private conversations he had with DJ K-Slay in his videos on YouTube before he had channels terminated for violations of YouTube community guidelines. Khalil Amani exposed various other questionable issues involving things he claims DJ K-Slay told him directly. One issue that Khalil Amani exposed about DJ K-Slay was his beef with Jay-Z, alleging that DJ K-Slay was connected or had knowledge to what really happened with the stabbing of Lance Rivera, the CEO of hip-hop label Entertainment, responsible for artists like Cameron and Charlie Baltimore. Khalil Amani would claim that the stabbing caused a rift between Jay-Z and DJ K-Slay that continued up until the death of DJ K-Slay. The word on the streets is that though Jay-Z was charged with the stabbing of Lance Rivera, it was actually someone in Jay-Z's entourage that committed the act and Jay-Z took the charge. I bring up the relationship that went sour at some point between DJ K-Slay and Jay-Z after I did some research of my own and found some commentary online associated with the stabbing that reads, Jay-Z on the other hand stabbed music executive Lance Rivera for bootlegging one of his albums in 1999. DJ K-Slay would false flag my now wrongfully terminated Israel Doctrine Reloaded YouTube channel after I began to expose his relationship with Khalil Amani and inform my audience that Khalil Amani spoke on the Ed Upperman Report podcast alleging that as a teen the Universal Zulu Nation used the teen members to traffic other teens into the nation for sexual relations with its founder Afrika Bambaataa. The flags on my now channel was done in concert by DJ K-Slay, Khalil Amani, and Layla Wills. I find it interesting that Hassan Campbell would claim DJ K-Slay was charged for piracy associated with copyright infringement of artist material, but then actually flag my YouTube channel with a false copyright strike. It is alleged from statements given by the brother of DJ K-Slay that DJ K-Slay died from COVID-19 in New York City on April 17, 2022, at the age of 55. Khalil Amani recently posted a video I did about how DJ K-Slay's death was announced on my birthday, which falls on April 18th. Khalil Amani claims that my video, which I did as a means to inform everyone that DJ K-Slay, who had wrongfully flagged my channel producing no copyrights for the material he claimed I infringed upon, was someone who caused my business and life great anguish, as he and his affiliate Khalil Amani had tried to destroy everything I built for my truthful journalism on the Afrika Bambaataa child molestation allegations.
I ain't even got nothing to say behind that. I got emotional shit. Woo! Damn near. I ain't gonna never cry on camera, but woo, that shit got a little emotional, y'all. Woo!
I want the viewers to remember that Hassan Campbell, an alleged victim of Afrika Bambaataa, has now been referenced as a social media influencer from top celebrities all throughout hip-hop, including Kendrick Lamar, and it should be noted that WAC 100 most certainly has ties to Kendrick Lamar, being a West Coast artist and based on the 6 degrees of separation from Khalil Amani being affiliated with DJ K-Slay and WAC 100 being the business partner of DJ K-Slay. I believe they are all working together, with Khalil Amani being directly tied to the United States Marshals and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and due to my belief that government corruption is involved, this 5K1 series is important for the hip-hop culture to learn from. The current status of what happened to the teenage boy who stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson is questionable. The death of TC Islam is questionable, as he was said to be in hiding from the Universal Zulu Nation right before he was murdered in Atlanta. If you want to hear the deep dive into the death of TC Islam, check out our Brother series Murder Doctrine Episode 2, TC Islam, the fourth son of the Amen-Ra of hip-hop.
Woo! A little bit more to go, people. A little bit more to go. Thank y'all that joined the show. I know y'all leaders of content, creating channels and stuff. I know it ain't the plain people watching.
Yes, a fraternal order of informants has been dispatched into hip-hop, and they are now spread out on the YouTube streets to control public opinion associated with real criminal activity and racketeering. The criminal activity being done in the YouTube streets is tied to violent crimes ranging from stabbings to shootouts and ultimately murders and conspiracies to commit murder. These issues in hip-hop also involve copyright laws and intellectual property rights tied to bootlegging and piracy of the materials, with major corporate influence into the state and federal law enforcement activities that enforce individuals into a tribute system that strips the fair use of certain materials away from content creators for public consumption.
Yes. Just like Napster and all that stuff. Nothing new under the sun, people. Nothing new under the sun. Nothing.
Since much of the discussion being had here involves an ongoing investigation, I must conclude with saying that Khalil Amani, who I once called a national treasure as it relates to his profile being similar to the black light that exposes DNA in a murder investigation. What I am saying is Khalil Amani, when held up against the people he fraternizes with, from DJ K-Slay to his Greek frat brother former President Bill Clinton, we can all see the DNA of corruption being exposed. Khalil Amani, being a nationally known federal informant stalking me since 2020, has allowed me to learn by watching his actions, who are the potential confidential informants in hip-hop, like Hassan Campbell. The other thing that Khalil Amani exposes is that even if all who he fraternizes with are not actual government informants, many others are members of Greek fraternities and Masonic lodges. Now, I do not claim to be a Mason, but what I learned about the craft of Masonry is that a 33rd degree Mason is a master of hiding things in plain sight. It's almost like hiding a thing from our eyes by placing it directly under our noses. In having these actions take place over the course of hip-hop over the last 50 years, we all have witnessed things being shown to us all openly, but in a crafty way that does not allow us to process what we are seeing without stepping back and having a 40,000-foot view to see what was directly in front of all of our faces. This is why I believe the Bible is the best tool to liberate the people, because whether we believe in Israel doctrine or not, these principles is exactly what is being utilized to capture audiences and lead mass public opinion. After all I went through trying to make this information active in the YouTube streets, it is up to the next generation to see these things at a younger age and to effectively make change.
Woo! Younger generations, to my grandnieces, grandnephews. You know, I'm a grand uncle. When I was born, I was uncle with it. And all of them done had children now. I done had like one or two, but I can't claim them. Almost say I ain't letting you know nothing about your children. You so crazy.
With the death of DJ K-Slay, we may never be able to find out the whole truth about the role he played in the cover-up of what happened with Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmet Henderson, or the young teen they say was statutorily raped on April 1st, 2013. The legacy of DJ K-Slay following his death is one where he has a street named after him in New York City, and where many rappers saw him as a stand-up street individual. I once was making a video on the topic of him working with a known federal informant, and I had people enter my stream attacking me that I could not prove my claims. I want all to know that as it may relate to DJ K-Slay flagging my channel wrongfully without copyrights, I can prove that. I can prove a nationally known federal informant in Khalil Amani was a writer for Straight magazine. I can prove that the article Afrika Bambaataa Gay and Date Raping was written by Khalil Amani and published April 2nd, 2013. I can prove that my coming out exposing this had Khalil Amani speaking to K-Slay directly on the phone, and that threats were made to sue me if I did not take down the video. I did to show how Khalil Amani snitched on the Ed Zuckerman report about DJ K-Slay being a sex trafficker or used to sex traffic teenage boys to Afrika Bambaataa when he was a teen himself as a former member of the Universal Zulu Nation. I can prove everything I have said over the years in a court of law if I need to.
Yeah, I'm getting quieter and quieter. Quieter and quieter. I see some more people that entered the room. I guess someone wasn't told someone.
As we close this episode 3 of the 5K1 series, I hope that you all have been thoroughly entertained. Are you not entertained? Well, if you are, then you do not want to miss episode 4 of the 5K1 series, where we will be discussing California-based hip-hop manager Wack 100.
Wack 100's up next, y'all. Then you'll find out why people been quoting me saying he's a government informant. Because I remember going over there on his Instagram and all of them was talking to him about Khalil Amani. And that nigga from Miami, didn't he tell on y'all way, then y'all way? Oh, man.
Hit the like button, share this video with friends and family on social media platforms, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification to be alerted when we are dropping the next episode, become a member, leave a comment under the video, be the first to hear the greatest perspectives from the king of these YouTube streets.